Okay, today I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened after World War I was over. We talked before I left about the Treaty of Versailles and how we managed to get United States, Great Britain, and France to come to the table and negotiate a peace treaty, the Treaty of Versailles. In that treaty, you might remember Great Britain and France were very angry about the number of soldiers they had lost in the war and also the buildings that they had lost in the war. They really wanted to punish Germany for causing World War I. So what we're going to see as we enter into the 1920s, the years immediately following the end of World War I, is a lot of instability, a lot of resentment and anger, and also economic uncertainty. So first of all, as you look at the results of the Treaty of Versailles, you see that a number of the borders have changed. Germany has lost a lot of land in Europe. We've shaved some land off from the south, from the east, and the west. And new countries emerge. Poland, part of Czechoslovakia here. These parts of the country used to be part of Germany and are no longer part of Germany. So they've lost land. They also lost colonies in Africa. The other thing that we see immediately after World War I is obviously hundreds of thousands of men died, much of a generation wiped out from a bloody conflict, especially the trench warfare. We also see a landscape that's ruined. France had lost a number of buildings, a lot of businesses, public houses or public courthouses, schools, churches, cathedrals. The same is true of Germany. Germany in many areas has been leveled through the heavy artillery that they had suffered through World War I. So not only have you lost hundreds of thousands, even millions of your own countrymen, but you've also lost a lot of your infrastructure, roads, bridges, buildings. This is incredibly costly. And you're facing all of these things while you're trying to recover from the war. If you remember, the Treaty of Versailles punished Germany for causing World War I. And this punishment came with it war reparations, fines. They had to pay a significant sum of money to Great Britain and France. Money that Great Britain and France were going to use to rebuild their own countries. But Germany didn't have this money. They had suffered too during World War I. So how is Germany going to get money to pay Great Britain and France the war fines that are required by the Treaty of Versailles? Well, we provide the answer. And we're able to do that in the United States because if you remember, we made a lot of money from World War I, selling weapons to both sides, at least initially. And then none of the battles were fought here in the United States. So although Europe is in ruin after World War I, the United States is actually quite a bit stronger. So we're in a position to loan a significant sum of money here. This is called the Dawes Plan. In 1924, we began loaning money to Germany. This will allow Germany to have the money it needs to pay the war reparations they're required to pay to Great Britain and France. It will also enable Great Britain and France to repay money we had loaned them, our allies, during World War I. So in this situation, what you see is that we are loaning money to Germany and getting money back from Great Britain and France. We're actually making money off of this as well because we're charging interest for all of these loans. So we're doing quite well. But the danger here in this flowchart is the fact that most of Europe is depending on us. They're depending on our economy. And this is going to be a problem because in 1929, our economy crashes. The stock market crash and the Great Depression, a massive catastrophe in our economy. We don't have any money. Our economy crashes, and with it, so does Europe, because so much of Europe is depending on us. So if you look at your crash card notes that I've given you, you will see that I have C-R-A-S-H on the outside, and you've folded it hot dog style. And then you've cut between the letters, the front flap only. I want you to fold back that front flap and include this information. The C that you have on your crash card, that's a reference to the fact that credit expands. What I mean by this is, in the 1920s, Americans start buying a lot of things using credit, kind of like our credit cards today. Things that they can't afford at the moment that they want them, but the credit allows them to take those items home with them and they will pay later. Well, a lot of people use credit to buy things in the 1920s. That seems great, but the problem with that is it assumes that you will continue making a lot of money and you'll be able to pay off those items that you've taken on credit. What happens when you lose your job? What happens when you can't afford to pay for those items that you've purchased on credit? This is a question to consider. So please take a moment, pause the video, and write the question to consider on the inside flap, inside that little oval that I've created for you. The R in crash represents war reparations. As you know, Germany is required to pay these war fines, but Germany has no industry anymore. It's been wiped out from World War I. Their landscape is in ruin, so they don't have the money to pay these war reparations. And so these additional fines just put Germany in a worse situation following World War I. So what little money they have, instead of using that to invest in rebuilding their country, they have to pay it in war fines to Great Britain and France. So 2 questions to think about here. Why would reparations destroy the German economy? And how does Germany pay for the war fines? And how does this make Europe, especially Germany, more dependent on the United States? And I talked about that with the Dawes Plan. The A, our industry in the United States becomes too dominant. And I say it's too dominant because so much of Europe was depending on us. They were depending on our construction supplies, our nails, our equipment, our tools. As they're going to rebuild their countries, they need our industry to do it. And they become dependent on us for money, for loans, and for construction goods. But what's going to happen to Europe if the American economy falls apart? It's a little bit like you depend on your parents for money. But what happens if they lose their job? They can't give you that money anymore. So even though they're experiencing economic hardship, you are too, because you depend on them for the money. Well, in this scenario, the United States is the parent, and you are the child. And Europe is the child. So in this situation, it's precarious. Europe is depending on us, and we don't have any more money as of 1929 when our economy crashes. The S in crash is a reference to our stock market crash. This happened in October of 1929, and this activates a ripple effect. People lose their jobs. Banks close, so they lose the money they saved in the bank. Businesses close. People are unemployed. 1 out of 4 Americans is unemployed. A lot of people can't pay for their house, so then they become homeless. Over the next 10 years, we experience a very severe economic depression in this country. And because most of Europe depended on us financially, they experience a depression as well. What will happen to Europe now that the United States economy is collapsing? And why? So questions to consider. The last one, and this was a tragic mistake on our part, one of the last things that we did once we're in this economic depression is we raised tariffs. Tariffs are a tax on imports. So what this means is we're going to charge more for any item coming in from another country. We're going to add a tax to it. So any item that Great Britain wants to sell in the United States, we will add an additional tax to it to raise that price of that good. Why would we do this? Well, we would do this because we want to encourage Americans to buy American goods. So if that British item is higher in price than the American equivalent, more Americans will buy American goods. That's the goal. Put tariffs on imports so that Americans will buy American goods. Well, it sounds great, but the problem with this is it's going to hurt Great Britain. It's going to hurt France. And what are they going to do to retaliate against us? Well, they're going to raise tariffs on our goods that are sold in their country. So what's the ultimate effect? It brings international trade to a halt, and it hurts everyone's economy. So in total, C-R-A-S-H, crash. These are some of the different aspects that contribute to a global-wide depression and further instability in Europe and in the United States. And in many ways, it paves the way for the outbreak of another world war.